freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, and freedom of religion. If you listen to Peter's interview with Sarah Morse all the way through, you will have heard how each of these four freedoms were impinged upon in Sarah's case. Freedom of expression, because Sarah was punished by employment dismissal because she expressed her opinion on the basis of religion. Freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, because Sarah was dismissed from the school because of the nature of her religion and opinion. Now, I would love to say that Sarah's case is an anomaly, occurring in a society that otherwise upholds the rights of pro-lifers to share their opinions freely and without fear of repercussion. But the fact is that we're seeing far too many cases like this. It's got to the point where certain names, Sarah Morse, Isabel Vaughan Spruce, Rose Doherty, Adam Smith Connor, now conjure up thoughts of abuses of power and the ongoing persecution of pro-lifers by the British state. Those who wish to defend our smallest brothers and sisters have been viewed as easy pickings for far too long, but we're not having it anymore. I'm William Curry, and this is my Viewpoint. When Sarah Morse turned up to Arbroath High School on the 19th of November 2025, I think it's fair to say that she didn't envisage the day ending with her dismissal from the school. As a cover teacher in a history class for pupils aged 14 to 15, Sarah would much rather have spent the lesson actually teaching, but instead ended up fielding the usual questions about American culture that she had come to expect as an American living in Scotland. One question was different though. A pupil asked Sarah her thoughts on abortion. Sarah made clear in her response that as a faithful Roman Catholic, she is against abortion. The inevitable follow-up question came about abortion in the case of rape. Sarah made clear that she remains against abortion in this case, as she does not believe an unborn child should suffer for the crimes of its father. There was disagreement from some of the class, but Sarah acknowledged that it's perfectly fine to disagree. Fast forward to the end of the school day, and Sarah was told by the school manager that at the behest of the head teacher, she was being let go. Why? Because, quote, you talked to the kids about your religion and abortion. Now, it all sounds rather familiar, doesn't it? Just last week on Heartbeat, I interviewed Sarah Spencer, another American living in Scotland who was reprimanded for expressing pro-life sentiment. Now, I won't go into detail about her case here, but I do urge you to watch my interview with her to see just how deep the rot runs in Scotland and the UK more generally. And then we have the likes of Isabel Vaughan Spruce, Rose Doherty, and Adam Smith Connor. Each of them arrested and charged with an offence, either for violating a public space protection order imposed around an abortion facility, or for violating a more wide-ranging buffer zones law. Now, that was a bit of a mouthful, but what it really boils down to is that each of these pro-lifers was arrested for either silently praying outside an abortion facility or for offering help to women entering an abortion facility. And to this day, SPUC still holds that buffer zone legislation in both England and Wales and Scotland violate Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, of which the UK remains a signatory. Article 10, pertaining to freedom of expression, says, everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. Who's going to be the one to tell the Scottish government that Rose Doherty, who was arrested for holding a sign in the wrong place, no longer has the freedom to impart information without interference by public authorities? And speaking of the Scottish government, it gave me great joy back in February 2025 to see them called out in front of the world's press by none other than the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. He rightly shamed them for their buffer zone's overreach, which included sending a letter to residents within abortion facility buffer zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may constitute an offence. But surely he's exaggerating. Surely one couldn't possibly get a knock on the door from Police Scotland for praying within their own home. Well, yes, in fact they could. And the chief architect for the bill, Gillian Mackay, has confirmed this. When SPUCTV's own Peter Kearney appeared alongside Mackay back in February 2024 for a televised discussion on buffer zones, he asked the following rhetorical question.
If you're praying for somebody, that is judgmental, isn't it?
Well, in that case, if you're concerned that someone's passing judgment by praying, surely you'd be concerned that they could sit at home and pray. Perhaps that should be banned as well.
Fast forward to February 2025. Peter had no idea that Gillian Mackay would take his facetious idea and run with it.
We are not banning prayer under the Act.
Performative prayer. If you're standing at a window with your hands together in front of your face in that classic kind of, that classic image of prayer, if you're standing at a window so people can see you, then could it be interpreted as an offence?
That then depends on who's passing the window and whether anybody
So he's not
can
wrong, is he, JD Vance?
No,
he's not wrong.
He is wrong.
This is one of those clips that you have to replay again and again just to make sure that you're not going crazy. And to be sure that an elected official did in fact say that visibly praying in one's own home could constitute an offence. Now, as an aside here, my father was a police officer in England for 30 years, and he would sooner have ripped off his epaulets and quit on the spot than arrest someone for praying outside of an abortuary, from their own home or otherwise. So it's fairly obvious that the rights and freedoms that many enjoy do not necessarily extend to pro-lifers. But as I said at the start, we're not having it anymore. When the head teacher of Arbroath High School, Miss Karen Thompson, dismissed Sarah Morse from her employment last November, she probably thought that she would never hear from Sarah again, and the whole ordeal would simply fade away. What is actually happening, however, is that Sarah, supported legally by SPUC, is rightly refusing to let this go. Sarah knows what her rights are, and as she said in the interview, she has both the time and the desire to fight her dismissal with all that she's got. Ironically, one of the school's quote-unquote 4 core values listed on its website is respect for ourselves, others, and our surroundings. The risible hypocrisy of this claim is now clear for everyone to see. You see, this is exactly how cancel culture has been allowed to spread like a virus for far too long. Its practitioners think they can bully people into silence and submission, and sadly, quite often they can. But you see, cancel culture comes unstuck when people like Sarah decide to stand up to the bullies. And there's a major irony at play when it comes to the top-down silencing of pro-lifers. The very people that we're advocating on behalf of, the unborn child, themselves have no voice. And so the establishment believe that if they can silence pro-lifers, then the abortion debate is all but settled, and no meaningful resistance can be mounted against abortion. But you see, I think this could be their undoing. As believe it or not, pro-lifers, like anyone, don't take too kindly to being told to shut up and go away. The truth is that we're not going away. What the establishment don't understand is that we're not motivated by self-interest. Trust me, as someone who works for a pro-life organisation, in a purely temporal sense, there is everything to lose and absolutely nothing to gain by being loudly anti-abortion. We're motivated by love and compassion for our unborn neighbour. And as much as we rightly complain about our freedoms slowly being eroded, which they are, we do well to remember our plight is nothing compared to that of the unborn child, who risks being poisoned and dismembered in their mother's womb. So as long as the silent holocaust of abortion continues, we will see more and more people like Sarah Morse standing up to the mob. And SPUC will be right there beside them.